Good afternoon and welcome to the latest in our series of live careers webinars brought to you by the Hertfordshire Opportunities portal. That is Hop Into, which you'll see at the bottom of my screen, and in fact on the poster behind me there has got that address, and that will remain prominent throughout this one. The Hop has been created with Hertfordshire school and college students in mind to provide you with a one-stop shop to find out about your future career opportunities linked to the needs of employers and industries throughout the county of Hertfordshire. These webinars are designed to give you the opportunity to hear from and interact directly with employers and employees from a particular industry. We hope from the back of this that you will feel far more informed and inspired, whether you are attending live now, which there are about 20 of you watching this live at the moment, or perhaps whether you're watching this back via our YouTube channel at a later date and time. So today's webinar will focus on careers in social care, which is a very important industry for us in Hertfordshire, and nationally as well. It's a massively developing industry, and we are going to be needing more and more people to come into the industry in the years to come as well, which perhaps a few of you will be. We've got some really inspiring and very knowledgeable panelists with you today who'll be able to share some of their direct experiences and insight with you. So we have, and I'll ask them just to wave when I say their names. So I've got Nicole Johnson with us, who is a recruitment manager for the Hertfordshire Care Providers Association, and she will be able to explain to you what her role is and what the Hertfordshire Care Providers Association is. Then we also have Paul Rainbow. So Paul is a Senior Learning and Development Officer at Hertfordshire County Council, which is also the biggest employer across all industries in Hertfordshire. Paul began his career as a social worker, but he now develops social care training programs on a national level. And then we're also joined by Bradley Bliss. Bradley, who is a former student from our Hertfordshire school in Stevenage. He also works with Paul for Hertfordshire County Council, and he's currently undertaking a level 3 apprenticeship in health and social care. He's in his day job, though, he supports adults with learning difficulties at a residential home within the county. So you'll hear from all of our panelists very shortly. Just before we do that, let me just reassure you that although you can see and hear us, hopefully, we can't see and hear any of you. So you are completely anonymous at the moment, but you do have the opportunity to interact with us and to ask questions of our panelists as we go through. The way to do that is on your dashboard that you've got in front of you. You should see there's one there that says questions. So if you click on the questions tab and open that out, it gives you the opportunity to type in a question. If you type that question in, it is completely anonymous, so nobody else will see it except for me, and then I can direct your question to either Bradley, Nicole, or Paul. If you specifically want one of them to answer the question, then just put that in the question who it's to. Otherwise, I'll try and direct it to who I think will be in the best position to answer it. But really do keep those questions in. It's really important that you are able to interact with Bradley, Nicole, and Paul. And also the other way of interacting will be towards the end of the webinar. We will display a couple of polls on the screen where we'll just be asking you whether you found this session useful or not. So it should be fairly obvious when that comes up, how to click on that and how to give an answer to that one. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand you over to our panelists to introduce themselves and their careers in a little bit more detail. So starting with Paul, I mean, first of all, could you just explain what do we actually mean by social care?
Yeah, social care is a really interesting subject. It's very broad. Basically, social care, we work with everybody from sort of babies right through to elderly people, people with learning difficulties, adults, children, mental health, drugs and alcohol, etc. Social care is the element of, basically the social care model is when people have been into hospitals or have had medical treatment, when they come out, they come into the world of social care. So we support people, with their day-to-day living, social activities, and what we try and do is make them independent as possible. Oh. Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah. And so Nicole, let's just move the question over to you a little bit. You can elaborate a little bit further. I mean, first of all, what is the Hertfordshire Care Providers Association, and how many care providers are there in Hertfordshire?
Yeah, of course. So HCPA, we're a membership association for adult care companies. So we work with over 500 companies in Hertfordshire. In total, there's probably about 700 organisations that support vulnerable adults. So we do the adult side only. And with those organisations, we support them with their staff training, so delivering high quality training, helping them access that training. We provide a lot of other services. So for example, we run a Stop Falls campaign, which involves supporting care organisations to reduce the number of falls in that care setting. So that's through training their staff, but also through actually delivering exercise sessions for the residents of those care homes. And there's lots of other little things that we do as well, or quite big things in some cases, but we also support these organisations to recruit. So whether they're looking for full-time or part-time staff, whether they are looking for apprentices, looking for individuals who want to do some work experience initially, there's different routes in, which I'm sure we'll get onto. And yeah, there's, as I say, lots of different organisations in lots of different settings as well.
Yep, thank you. Bradley, over to you. I mean, you've got a very interesting story because you didn't start your career in social care, did you? Talk us through what happened once you left school and how you've ended up in the role that you're in now.
So after school, I didn't really have a clue what I wanted to do. I went into construction because some of my family does construction. I moved in with my nan, who worked waking night. My uncle lives with my nan, he's got a learning disability. One day I went to one of his plays at one of the day centres and I was told about the level 1 traineeship. I got onto that and discovered I really enjoyed care, and it's got a lot of progression routes and I'm happy where I am.
Okay. And for you, it was a very personal thing, wasn't it, Bradley? Why I think you found social care has really resonated with the things that you enjoy doing and you know that you're good at.
Yeah, it's very interesting meeting all different types of individuals, their capacity, their needs, helping them gain independence, learn new key skills. It's really interesting and rewarding.
Okay, tell us about your actual role that you do now. Then, what does an average day look like for you?
So I'm a support worker in support living. So my typical day would be I'd wake up early, say 6 in the morning. I'd go to work. I'd assist 6 individuals to lead as normal life as possible, and just giving them support where needed. The support could be feeding, getting dressed. It could be planning day trips, holidays. Basically everything you do in your own life, you're doing for them, and you're overcoming the challenges of their disabilities.
Okay, so it sounds like something that's very, very rewarding, and there must be a great deal that you can get out of it, knowing that you're really helping somebody else. Paul, you've been involved in social care for a long time, and I'm going to say you're an industry expert now. So what are the best things about the industry? So why would a young person want to go into social care?
Well, sort of from my opinion and sort of all the people I talk to, if you want a boring job, social care is definitely not for you. It's such an exciting job. No 2 days are ever the same. You might go to the same building, see the same people, but you just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, how many other jobs pay you, like Bradley said, to plan holidays, to go on cinema trips, to just make a difference to people's lives, a genuine difference. Honestly, it is so, you won't come out ever bored. You won't ever come home, because I suppose you might hear your family's going to say, oh, I had a rotten day at work, I'm so bored, da, 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 da. In social care, you come home and go, oh, you won't believe what I did today. I went, to the pub with the guys, they ordered a beer, for example, we sat in the garden, we shot the breeze. I mean, how exciting a job is that? When you're actually paid to work with brilliant individuals. I mean, yeah, you do have your days when you're a bit frustrated. You think, I've spent, 2 hours preparing to go shopping with you, and you've gone to your bedroom, you're watching a film. It's like, hang on, we planned a shopping trip. We're like, oh, I forgot about that. So you just roll with it. You go to theatre shows. You will lose any sense of embarrassment or inhibitions you've ever had, because you will go to events and places where you think, oh God, I hope my friends don't see me here. For example, I had to go 3 nights in a row to see One Direction. You know, really not my bag. And my friends found out about it, and it was like, actually, do you know what? I'm paid to be here and have a good time with the guys. You know, so honestly, it's such a buzz job, and you can have a career out of it. You can have. I started at similar ages to you guys. You know, I started at 16. I know where I am. But I've done my degrees in social work teaching, and I still get a buzz from going in the day centre. I'm still first in the art room going, oh, what are we doing today? And like, Paul, just move it, you know, let me join it in. So yeah, honestly, you will have so much fun.
Nicole, Bradley talked about his experience. So he goes and supports adults in a residential home. But what are the different settings? So like the sort of the physical environment that someone working in social care may find themselves in?
Yeah, of course. So as I say, within those 500 organisations we work with, supported living, like what Bradley does, is one of them. There's also nursing homes and care homes, so residential settings. So you may have been to a care home yourself before. I know when I was your age, my nan was actually in a care home, so I used to go and visit her in a care home quite often. As well, within a nursing home, there's also nurses that work there as well as care assistants, and that some individuals will have clinical needs as well. So primarily, a lot of those settings that we're recruiting for support older people and people living with dementia, sometimes some additional physical disabilities, and with nursing homes, a range of needs, basically. So it's really, really varied. There's also supporting people in their own homes. So within those settings, you would go from home to home. You might visit someone for an hour, help them to get up and ready for their day. You may see someone for a bit longer. You might actually be taking them out shopping or taking them to appointments. And then once you've seen that individual, you'll go and see someone else who needs some additional support as well. Whenever you go and visit someone, each individual will have completely different needs, and what kind of care and support they need will really vary. So in that sense, reiterating what Paul said, it is like every day is different. It's very, very rewarding. For some people, you might be the only person they get to see each day, each morning, or each evening. So for that support at home, some people it is you're essentially that individual who they build that friendship and that professional relationship with, as you're their care assistant that comes to see them. So we've said about supported living. You've mentioned day services a little bit as well, and going and taking people out and doing activities. So yeah, residential settings and supporting people at home. So they're the main settings. We do also work with some private hospitals as well. So there's a few mental health hospitals and other hospitals as well, and neurological hospitals. So there's a few of those across Hertfordshire that we work with. So there's lots of different settings to potentially work in. And initially, you're likely, whether it's through an apprenticeship or a job, depending on what route you choose, you're likely to go in as a care assistant or a support.
Yeah. Okay, no, thanks for that answer, Nicole. Just to reiterate, you can ask questions. So if you've got any questions that you want to ask either Bradley, Nicole, or Paul, on the questions tab on your dashboard, if you open that out, it brings out a text box. If you type your question in there, then I can ask it to whichever of the panelists you want me to ask it to. But a couple of questions come in. This one specifically is for Bradley. What's the hardest part about your job?
Well, the hardest part about my job, I suppose the limits of their, it's a hard one. So we've got, I've had a few service users with diabetes, and controlling their diet becomes a conflict of interest, because you want to do the best for that service user, but sometimes their human rights get in the way. So I can't physically tell them not to eat unhealthy, sweets, stuff like that. It's their human right. I'm just there to guide them in the right direction, but in the end, it is down to them. So that can be very challenging because we, you know, the carers, we want to do the best job we can, but we can't because it's their human right.
Okay, fine. I can understand how that would be a real conflict for you. Another question that's come in, which I'm going to ask Nicole, is I think you probably already answered this one or alluded to it anyway. Is social care just working with adults, or does social care also involve working with children as well?
Yeah, of course. So social care does involve working with children. The part that I work in is adult social care. So we support the adult social care sector specifically. I know Paul mentioned the childcare side of it. So, I mean, if people have a few more questions about that, then possibly they could ask Paul, maybe. Could you expand on that, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. Because being the county council, we have a social care responsibility from birth to sort of people passing through. So, for example, we've got children's residential homes where, you know, we support young people in their sort of, you know, where they're living in care homes. We support foster carers because some people at some points in their lives are not able to sort of look after their children for various reasons, medical as well as, you know, can't cope, etc. So we have workers that go in and work with families. So a lot of family work goes on, through to sort of looking after little babies, you know, supporting the parent when they're unable to, for whatever reason, maybe a medical or mental health reason. So again, we've got a large side to that because most people think it's just schools. It isn't. We have a lot of sort of children's services. We've got targeted youth services where they support young people into employment or support them to go back to school. Maybe they've had time out of school for whatever reason. So the children's side is probably in the council as big, if not bigger, than the adult side. So you can go through the careers as well. We've got a 0 to 25 team. So if you're interested in young people and young adults, we actually have a whole service for that as well. So you get
okay,
the adult.
Yeah, well, no, that answers the question very well, Paul. Thank you. Couple of, got some more questions coming in here. I'm going to ask all three of you this one actually, but you know, I'm going to start with Paul. What impact has being in social care had on your life?
On my life, I've got so many diverse friends because social care is a worldwide staffing group. So again, in some industries, you're just going to go down the same sort of, you know, pathway in life. For me, I've had so many laughs, I've made so many friends, and the confidence it's given me to deal with situations as well. Because I mean, I started at 15, 16. My first day in care was going with a group of old people to Hyde Park to watch a brass band, and I was like, "Oh, kill me now!" But by going and seeing the pleasure it actually gave them, I was still not to brass band music. Apologies if people are. But the difference is, it's given me a career, it's given me a house, because from the background I was from, it really was like Bradley was saying, it was going to be building or warehouse. I tried both of them during my life, and both I hated with a passion. So it's given me a good standard of living. It's actually, you know, I met my wife and now got children through it as well. So there's a bonus there. Or not, you can ask her. So yeah, I've had a really good time. You know, I've had some amazing experiences. I've met some amazing people. So if you like people, it's definitely, and it's a well-paid career. Don't believe people say, oh, you know, care's not very well paid. It can be.
Thank you. No, I think that's a really important point to raise as well. Bradley, for that from your perspective, because you can compare perhaps how you felt working in construction and then coming into this industry. I mean, how has it affected your outlook on life?
Very positively. I mean, I've met a very diverse group of individuals. I've learned about different cultures, different backgrounds. Yeah, it's built a lot of respect from all of these backgrounds. It's just I don't really know how to explain it. It's just meeting all these different types of people, learning about them. It's all very interesting, and when you're out in society, you have a better understanding of people and how they are.
Yeah. No, okay. No, I can tell from the way that you're talking that, you know, this is something that's really having an impact on you, and probably does, and I'm sure you reflect a lot of your other colleagues as well, and other people in the social care industry. As we're answering your questions, if you feel that you want us to elaborate a little bit further on, and do put another question or another comment in there as well. The questions that are coming in are fantastic. Question I'm going to ask Nicole now: does it matter whether you go to college or sixth form?
So I don't think it matters at all, because you can enter the care sector from finishing your GCSEs. You can go onto a traineeship or an apprenticeship at the age of 16 or 17. I know that Hertfordshire County Council, so Paul's team are offering them right now. We have some employers in the private, voluntary and independent sector who are also offering apprenticeships right now. But you can, if you want to work to do college or sixth form, then that's also fine. So we work quite closely with health and social care students at colleges and schools to offer work experience. I would say with the apprenticeship route, you do get a similar qualification. You'll get your level 2 or level 3 qualification, but you get to earn as you learn. So you are an employee getting that qualification and earning money at the same time. And that's the difference, the key difference. But it depends on you as an individual, whether that learning kind of classroom setting that you would get from a college or school is more suitable for you. And sometimes you might not feel at that stage that you're quite ready to go straight into working and learning that way, but it's an option, so it depends on you individually and what works for you.
I mean, that's a really good opportunity for me to ask the next question that's coming now, which I think is a really, really good question, which is, what sort of skills would you recommend that a person should have if they want to work in the social care setting? And I think it's really good that the question is, what skills do you need, as opposed to which subjects you need?
Yeah.
Because I think the skills are the most important thing, aren't they?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for us, so it's something that I often say, but when I'm speaking to an individual about whether they would be the right person to work in care, I literally think, do I want this person looking after my family member? So values are the most important thing. If you can show that you have a genuine interest in improving the quality of someone's life, if you have a caring attitude and you can express that this is genuinely a career you want to go into because you want to help people, that is essentially what we look for. We're also looking for people who are willing to learn, as there is so much to learn. There's so many qualifications, as well as general development and self-development that you'll get from working in care, and also a flexible approach, because each individual that you support and care for is going to have completely different needs to the next, and that's the key phrase, is individual. Each person is an individual, and yes, they might need support and care, but it's basically, it's person-centered. It's down to each of their needs, and you'll get general training, but it's completely down to what they want, and that's how you will deliver that care to them.
Paul, let me just bring you in here, because I know that you're responsible for writing some of the apprenticeship frameworks. So looking at some of the academic curriculums that people would work towards, as Bradley is at the moment. What sort of things would you be looking for? Typically, what sort of skills or qualities would someone have to come onto that apprenticeship route?
We're looking at personality, to be honest, is one of the things, because we always say social care's so diverse that we put out a job description, but the skill base is patience, a nice attitude, believe it, a good attitude towards people. Somebody who's not afraid to ask and say, I don't know, can you tell me? Because people always creep around that and think, oh, I don't know what to do about this. Willingness to learn. Flexibility, as Nicole said, is really important, because as Bradley and we can all tell you, no 2 days the same. So we're looking for that flexibility. So part of our interview process is you answer the questions, then you come to one of our day services and spend some time with our people, and then you can also decide whether it's for you or not. And it's okay to say, oh, do you know what, I'm a bit scared about this. These scary looking adults are coming up going, hello, 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 hello. It's like, whoa, steady on, chaps. So again, it is having that open-mindedness is what we're looking for. Good communication skills. You might think you're a really shy person, but by the time you've gone through social care, you'll be a really confident person. It's okay to be shy as well. We do have quiet people. So yeah, academically, any GCSEs are really good because, again, we do everything from dance through to art, through to drama, through to sports. If anybody's good at sports, well, hey, we like you as well. So again, don't worry too much about it. You know, just be an individual. Just, you know, let's see your personality. That's the main thing.
Well, let me ask you this one directly, Paul, and then Nicole, you might have something to comment on it as well. Lots of schools and colleges now offer at Key Stage 4 or 5 health and social care courses. Are they essential? Should someone do that if they want to go into the career? Does it matter if you haven't?
No, it doesn't matter if you have or you haven't, because the qualifications you will gain during your apprenticeship or your traineeship will either complement or supersede anything you're learning. I mean, yeah, we really do like the health and social care part because obviously you're thinking, yeah, I've got a career in that. But we also like the people, like Bradley said, do you know, I tried construction, went to an event, and do you know what, that's for me. So again, I wouldn't worry too much if you haven't, because again, when you apply to us, what we do, everybody who applies and fills in the application will be interviewed. So we always, because people, you know, it's really hard to fill in these forms, they're really boring as well. So we get you in, you have a chat with us. As long as you're not sort of like going, oh, I really hate the job and all that, you come to our day centre for your tour, and then it comes out that way, because we can see who's a natural carer and who isn't. And sometimes the academic subjects of health and social care are very interesting, but until you actually get out into the service, they won't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So a good range of subjects, whatever you're doing is acceptable. And the other thing to say, if academically it's not your strongest point, for example, maybe you're thinking, well, I'm not going to get maybe the best GCSEs or anything, don't worry about that either, because some of our best workers who are now doing degrees in social work come to us with no qualifications at all, you know, for various reasons, not always, you know, their fault, etc. So don't worry about that.
Yeah. Well, let me bring Bradley in here as well, because that would be really good to hear a little bit more about your apprenticeship that you're doing at the moment. So, I mean, first of all, do you just want to explain what the concept of an apprenticeship is? I mean, Nicole used the phrase learning whilst you're earning earlier. So how do you fit an apprenticeship into what you're doing during the week?
So we get one day off a week, which is to study, learn and do your assignments. You can also do your assignments at work when you get time. For example, when our service users go to day centre, we get to go on the computers. All of our colleagues are very helpful. They'll help you get through your course. We do our assignments on an online platform. There'll be set assignments each week with a lot of support. We've got a lot of people around us who we can ask questions. You're never left on your own through the apprenticeship. There's always someone, you know, holding your hand every step of the way. Your work life is pretty easy because, you know, you're doing your shifts, you've got your college day, and then you've got your days off still, so it's not overburdening. It's just a really easy apprenticeship, and it's very detailed, very interesting. There's a lot of skills on there that you wouldn't normally think about that comes into care. It's very interesting. All of it's interesting.
Yeah. So do you actually go to a college to do your college day? Which college is it?
We normally go to the HCC Farnham House, but at present we're doing all of our assignments on here.
Of course, yeah, you do. We've all been doing that for a while now. Okay, and I know you started doing a level 1, and now you're doing a level 3 apprenticeship. So is there room for you to study even further, going on beyond that?
Yeah, well, once I've done my level 3, that's the equivalent for, what is it, Paul? For the level 3 is equivalent to
the A levels, so you can look at university if you wish to, which we sponsor.
I could look at university. I might go into learning disability nursing after. I'm not sure yet. I really enjoy my place of work though, so I might just progress there.
Yeah. Okay. I've got some really, really good questions here, and I hope that you are going to understand them better than I do. But they are very good technical questions here, so please do keep them coming in. So this is one for Paul. Does art therapy link into health and social care? And does anyone know any steps I could take to get into it?
Ah, great question. Yeah, art therapy definitely fits in with social care. It's a very long course, though, just to forewarn you about that. It's approximately 6 years in total of study. But we use art therapists are a really essential part of what we do because of the, it's, as it says, it is a therapy, and we've had such success with that. To get into the art therapy, if you go online, there should be some YouTube clips about the day in the life of an art therapist. Alternatively, if you wish to contact us at Hertfordshire County Council, and I'm sure Gareth will be able to sort of share our details, we do have some art therapists that work for us. And when you come to choose your work experience, maybe you might want to spend some time with them and just see what the real job is. You might think, well, I love therapy and I love art, and it'd be good to spend some time with them on a one-to-one basis and say, what's the program like? What was the university like? How much do you earn at the end of it? But yeah, we're really into art therapy, speech therapy, drama therapy. So we've used a lot. We've got the Purple All Stars of our drama therapy group, and they're really, really popular. So yeah, great question.
Yeah, that was a really good question. I should say as well that this session is being recorded and it will be made available via our YouTube channel, which will make sure that all of your teachers at your schools who have told you about this session today can let you know the link for, and we will open up the comments section on that YouTube video. So if you have any further questions that you want to ask, we can direct them subsequently to Bradley, Nicole or Paul. Another question here, this is I'm going to start Bradley on this one. Do you work in a multidisciplinary team? And if so, what other sort of people do you work with? So I think thinking about the people that you work with in the residential home.
People I work with.
Yeah, so what other roles might they have?
Like Ray? So at HCC, we've got H2s, we've got H3s, H4s. It goes all the way up to team leader and then management. I'm a H4, which means I do medication, and I'd get 2 additional responsibilities, which are like senior responsibilities, such as main meds cupboard. So I'd be checking expiry dates, batch numbers. I'd be reordering medications when needed. We've got H2s. That's the entry level into my workplace. They won't do medication. They're more support workers, so they'll do personal care. They'll do everything except medication and senior responsibilities. Then it goes up to H5. H5 is a senior, so they'll run the unit, they'll supervise staff, they'll have senior meetings to see what we're doing good on and what we're doing better. Yeah, I work with all types of people. I mean, we've got domestics as well. Yeah, there's a huge range of people working in my line of work.
Okay, thank you. Right, this is one for Paul. What steps would you have to take to work in adolescent mental health?
Oh, adolescent mental health. Now, to start in that one, you've got to be 2 years older than the oldest child that you're working with. So adolescent, that's probably 14 to 16, so that's 18 years and above to work with them. The steps I would recommend is look at an apprenticeship or stay on at college, etc., do some health and social care studies. And then what we do, we have what we call a community care officer role. So that's where you work in social work teams. That's where them members of staff would be based. And you would work along the social work aside the social workers. So I personally would recommend either the apprenticeship, so you get the underpinning knowledge, experience and qualifications of care. Doesn't have to be with children, because what we say is transferable. Quite a few of my adult apprentices go work with children. You can study it at college, at North Herts College or Hertford Regional, wherever you're based, which is with Watford College, etc. Yeah, that's the main way in. And look out for the job adverts, because people sometimes, when they're looking for jobs like that, are put off by the job description online. And on the bottom, it always says, please ring for a discussion. Because I look at some of the jobs that my students go for, and I'm like, I have no idea. With all my years of care work, I have no idea. We ring up and say, oh, well, actually, we're looking for X, Y, and Z. And again, if you really want to work with the adolescent side, we've also got probation. We have the CAMS team, which is the children's mental health team. So adolescent, we've got a big sector field in that. So yeah, college or apprenticeships the way into that.
Good. Okay, I hope that answered that question. So I know the person who submitted that one submitted a subsequent question and specifically mentioned CAMS as well. But I think you've just covered that, Paul. If we haven't covered that, though, please do just drop in and ask us to elaborate a little bit further on that one.
There's one more thing to say about that. You can go to university and study to be a social worker at 18 if you want, and you will get a children adolescent placement as part of that. And then at the end of it, post-qualifying, they are the biggest employers of social workers. Little inside word for you there.
Right, okay. Yeah, on a, well, I suppose a related question, which I'm going to ask Nicole this one. Would you recommend going to university or doing an apprenticeship to go into social work? So thinking about your care providers who are always recruiting, are they looking for graduates as well as apprentices? What's the mix like?
Yeah, so apprenticeships is a really good route in for that. We, just as an example, you can go to university, you can study if you wanted to do nursing or whatever you wanted to study at university, and then go into community and social care nursing. That's always an option, just as an example. But I have someone who I met in a nursing home in Stevenage, and I'll just kind of explain what she did. So she wanted to do her nursing, but she was never in a situation to be able to go and study full time. So she started as a care assistant in this nursing home. She completed her level 2 and level 3. I'm not sure if she did it as an apprenticeship or if she studied on the side in her own time, but she completed her level 2 and 3 in health and social care while working as a care assistant. She progressed to a senior care assistant and then progressed further to a team leader. And then she said to her employer, and her manager is actually a registered nurse, that she really wanted to do nursing. And they supported her to study to be a registered nurse. She thought she wanted to go to work in the NHS and work in a hospital, but because of, I think, all the support that she got and how long she'd been there and knowing the residents, she decided to stay there. And once she was qualified, she's still there as a registered nurse now. And I know that she's doing some additional qualifications. She may already have progressed into like a senior nurse role, but she's literally stayed with that one employer and been able to do all of that. So again, going back to the getting straight into the work world, you can do that and progress from within. If you want to go to university, you might also want to do that. It is completely up to you. But any employer that we work with will be able to take you on with or without a degree.
Okay, I've had a question specifically. Do you need to go to university for any course within social care work? I think the answer you've just given me there is quite emphatically no, you don't have to go to university. Are there any particular universities or courses that if someone did want to follow that academic route straight from school, that would be more advantageous to follow? Do you know of any really good courses or universities within this field?
Well, there's the University of Hertfordshire is absolutely brilliant and very well thought of. University of Bedfordshire is very good. There's a lot of universities will offer the social work degree. Depends whether you want to move away from home. Brighton's really funky, recommended. Sorry, loyalty to old universities, of course. That's always fun down there. There's the learning disability nursing programs. There's so many options for nursing, etc. It's one of the most wide courses. Other than sort of Oxbridge, most universities will offer nursing or social work. Occupational therapy is another one that you might consider. So yeah, I think so. You can also go on access courses. So if you're not certain about whether you really want to do it or not, you can do like a year's foundation course before committing yourself. So it's biggie. I don't know about you other guys if you've got.
I could just add in there as well. I mentioned that we have a few private mental health hospitals that we work with. At the moment, for example, we are looking for occupational therapists, and that is something where you would need that degree level qualification. Of course, there are other ways where you can get to that stage without going straight to uni, but if that's something that interests you, we're always looking for occupational therapists in adult social care.
Good. Okay. So I guess the summary to those questions is that You don't have to go to university to go into social care, but if you do want to go to university to study it, there are a variety of courses that nearly all universities offer, and the University of Hertfordshire, as being one on our doorstep, if you wanted to stay at home, is one that you could go and access as well. Okay, right, well, I've had a couple of questions specifically about CAMS, Paul, so let me ask you this one. What type of qualifications do you need to get into CAMS, and then more equally, do you have to go to university to go into CAMS? So I think CAMS has come up so specifically there. I want you to give me a very specific answer for that.
Okay then, yeah, with the CAMS, most CAMS team members are either social workers or mental health nurses that have done the specialism in children. So that one, in the main, they employ nurses, but they do have, again, the community care officer role, which is more the assessment role than the supporting role. So if you're really interested in CAMS, to be honest with you, to progress via CAMS, it's normally nursing or social work. The sort of support jobs are very rarely that they come up because of the sort of complexity of a CAMS worker. It is normally your degree qualified, to be honest with you. But we do sponsor people, if you do work for the council, we do sponsor people through the degree apprenticeship to go into them types of services as well. So that's always worth considering.
Paul, do you want to explain what a degree apprenticeship is? Because it may be something that not everyone is familiar with.
Oh yeah, it's quite a new one that we've helped develop. Sorry, we used to start level 2 and 3, and then we said, hang on a minute, we do need graduates as well. It's not fair. So a degree apprenticeship is an apprenticeship that a workplace or an employer will sponsor. So like Bradley, you will go off to, instead of college, you will go off to university 1 or 2 days a week. 3 days a week you work. We pay your university fees, so there's no student debt, there's no 27,000 or any of that sort of scary stuff. We also pay your wage, and also at the end of your university program, when you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to go into the world of work now, we guarantee you employment. So again, there's a real benefit. I mean, you do have to work for the organisation for 18 months within any role, because the cost of the course is about, well, it's 27,000 for university fees, then we pay you a wage of about 21,000 to go off and study. So you go off to university and get paid for it. So that's quite a nice route to get if you can.
Yeah, and so if you do a degree apprenticeship, you're not paying the fees, the £9,000 a year, the employer pays that, is that right?
We pay that, and we have no golden handcuffs at the end either, because some employers might hear that they sponsor you to go to university, then you have to work 10 years for them. Well, that's against the Modern Day Slavery Act, so you're not allowed to do that. We just hope that people stay with us because they want to, and you know, we've been very nice to them.
Yeah. Okay. Right, let me just wrestle through the questions that we've got here. Still some really good ones that I want to get some answers for. I'm going to ask this one straight initially to Bradley. Do you travel to different places within your job?
No, I go to one place, but we've got 3 other hubs, but they're all very local. So
okay.
No, not much travelling at all. But it depends what job you're in.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, that's specific to you, isn't it? But Paul, you spoke about the fact that you were one of your service users you were working with. They took you to One Direction 3 nights in a row.
Absolutely. So I know that was a sad part of my life. It's going to be nice. Yeah. So again, like Bradley says, you know, you can be based at one unit and go off and work outreach in the community with people, doing activities they wish to. Alternatively, in Nicole's world as well, you'd have, I think you could explain it better, the home care. When you actually work with people in their own houses.
Yeah, absolutely, and that does involve going out and about, depending on the individual that you're visiting on that morning, that afternoon. It might be that you're going to be taking them out to go shopping. It might be that they've got appointments. It might be that they want to go and visit a family member but need someone to accompany them. So it really varies. But the saying that it really depends, because again, within home care, in some roles, you do visit each person for an hour at a time, and it is primarily to help them be ready for their day, and helping them get out of bed and make sure that they have the food and drink that they need, and supporting them with potentially those kind of tasks, the daily tasks that you and I might take for granted that some people just can't do all on their own, so you're helping them to be independent. So yeah, really varies. But with regards to going out and about, on our social media, which is Herts Good Care, so HERTS, like Hertfordshire, so Herts Good Care, you'll see stories, videos, imagery of people who are out and about, and organisations that have held events as well as care staff talking about their jobs and their careers, and what they've done. But often they do talk about the trips out and what they get up to. So if you want to see a bit more about that, Facebook, Instagram or Twitter, we're on there.
Okay, thank you. Bradley, you kind of alluded to this earlier, the next question I'm going to ask, but do your own morals ever conflict with the rules or even the needs of a service user? I think it's a really good question.
Oh, that is a good question.
We'll give Bradley the first bite of that one, but Paul, you may well have some anecdotes to share with us as well.
Oh, that's a really hard question. Could you just repeat that again, please?
Yeah, so do your own morals ever conflict with the rules or even with the needs of a service user? So I guess, are there times when your instinct is that you want to help somebody in a certain way, but actually there are perhaps rules that would prevent you from acting in the way that you would most want to instinctively?
Yeah, so recently we had a service user who lost the ability to eat, but I had a gut feeling he could eat, and I really wanted to feed this service user, but I wasn't able to due to the rules. Over time, we were able to get an assessment, and it was found out this individual could eat, and yeah, it was just a really great outcome. But at the time, we went all this time me knowing, like deep in my heart, that this person can still do this, but because of the rules, I was unable to. But in the end, it was a good outcome because that was some of his independence gained again.
Yeah, sure. Paul, is that a fairly common challenge that people within social care will face at some point?
Occasionally, the policies are there to protect the vulnerable individuals, but some people use them because it might not be comfortable. I had my example, I mean, it's a big extreme example, is a couple have been together with learning disabilities for 15 years. They've lived in the same bungalow, etc. You know, lovely relationship with staff support. And one day they said, we want to get married. Oh, well, the heavens opened on that. But the policies, oh, have they got capacity? Will the registrar allow and all this? So being the worker, I had to side with the policy that said, I don't know, but putting them in touch with what we call an advocate service, somebody independent who can come in and argue their case against the council. And they did, and a capacity assessment was done. Yes, they had the capacity to get married, and they did go on to marry. And everybody was so supportive because they said, legally, would they be able to say the right amount of words? Because the lady had Tourette's as well. So you can imagine some of the language could be colourful. And the registrar said, well, as long as she gets this amount of words of the service out, then we can go ahead, it will be legally done. If she can't, you can come back the next day and we can finish in the morning, just so they can have their wedding breakfast and that. And it works out, but officially it was smack on the hand, Paul, you mustn't support them. Unofficially, it was, well, you have the right to get an advocate, and the advocate come in and stuck up for them, and they're still happily married now. You know, 10, 15 years on, they're still in the bungalow, they're married. You know? So, so that's another avenue you can go down, is advocacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Nicole, are there any jobs in social care that involve dealing with substance abuse?
Yeah, so there's a few providers that we work with that support individuals who are recovering addicts. So off the top of my head, there's one that we work with in Hemel, there's another one in Stevenage. There are definitely some more, and they do recruit for support workers. They also look for counsellors as well. So that's something as well, if that's a route you want to go into. Again, I'd need to look into specific degree apprenticeships in that area. We do have degree apprenticeships as well, a bit like what Paul was saying around nursing and other clinical options, occupational therapy as well. But with regards to counselling, whether you need to go to university, definitely double check for you, see if there's another route. but they do take support workers and also train you within as well to progress further. So
yeah. Okay, all right. Paul, do you have to have some sort of work experience before doing a social care job?
No, what we look for is transferable skills. So it might be that you might have done some childminding, you might have done some other work with family members, you might have worked with older relatives. So we look at all that. People always say, I've got no caring experience. We say, well, have you ever looked after, oh, well, I look after my nana, or I look after my little brother or sister, etc. And what we're also willing to do is give work experience. So if you're choosing, I don't know if you still do work experience at school, but you could choose to come and do that. But again, we always look at everybody, be they a young person or an adult, that they're a blank sheet of paper and you will bring something. So don't worry about the experience side.
Okay, good. Brady, I think you kind of answered this already, but there may be something else that's popped into your mind. What challenges may you need to overcome daily as a person working in social care?
Challenges. Well, each individual is different. We have got challenging behaviour. Every day is completely different. Every day is going to have new challenges, new ways of working with individuals. Yeah, it's just about how you work and how you overcome them. There's a lot of challenges in care, but once you've gone past them, it then gets to the rewarding side, which is very rewarding. You always go home feeling, yeah, I did the right thing. They're happy. I'm happy. Never gone home sad.
Good. Okay, that's a pretty good advocacy statement there. Paul, is there degree apprenticeships available in children's nursing? I guess that may be slightly veering towards healthcare more than social care, but maybe something you can answer?
Yeah, we do have nursing teams. One half of our building has nurses in, so we do sponsor people. It's not so many at the moment because when you do your general nursing, you choose what specialism you go to at the end. So again, there is degree children's nursing. If you look on the NHS website, so I'm giving them a plug because we do work in partnership, they do have degree apprenticeships available for young people who wish to go into that field. Same as they have it for midwifery and some other hard to recruit to areas. So yeah, look on the NHS website, to be honest, NHS Future Careers.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, right, I've got 3 more questions left. I'm going to direct them to each of you. If you have got any remaining questions, do try and get them in now, because we are going to try and summarise once we've gone through these last couple of questions. So Bradley, how easy is it to gain trust from the individual that you care for?
I guess it depends on the service user again. Obviously, when you go into a unit, you're to read their care plans, you're to sign and acknowledge that you've read and understood their care plan. It can be quite easy to trust them because you're working with them every day. I work with 6 individuals more than I see my family, so they're like a second family. You do build a lot of trust in them, you know, their capabilities, their limits. So yeah, I have a lot of trust in the service users I look after. It's very easy. Yeah.
Okay. Nicole, what steps would you need to take to work for a crisis team or a HTT?
Oh, okay. It's probably not the question for me. I'm wondering if, Paul, you know much more about that at all, because we haven't directly recruited for that within HCPA.
Yeah, the crisis teams for us are what we call our approved social worker teams. So that's the top end. So they're the people who go out and support people who maybe in times of crisis, maybe attempting suicide, maybe been arrested by the police, etc. So we do have degree social workers that do that, and they do some further 3-month training to work in that crisis team because they're home office licensed to do that. So it's sort of like super social worker status. The other crisis teams we have people who do other things like support homelessness, people who are domestic abuse victims, etc.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's because I put the poll up
Oh,
Paul,
right.
sorry. Keep on talking. You're still visible and audible. Okay, all right. And then the final question I've got, which, well, I'm going to start with you, Paul, on this one. Do you have to overcome your own personal problems before helping others?
I would say not, because the two put things really into balance and perspective. Honestly, you might wake up one morning thinking, do you know, I feel really, really off it today, but I'm still going to go into work. And then somebody will just smile and say hi to you, and your day is better. Honestly, so a lot of people that do work in social care have got, like everybody else, some problems or some needs and issues, but honestly, working in social care helps you overcome that, because there's always somebody to make you feel better about yourself. So be like, oh, how are you? And then, you know, honestly, it's almost like the best form of therapy, to be honest. I don't know what the other guys think.
Definitely agree with that. Some of the best care assistants and support workers are people who have either been, for example, young carers and then been care leavers and then gone on, they've already got that care in nature, or as well, sometimes work is almost, because they're there to help people in a supportive setting, if they do have other things going on in their own lives, work is almost like that place where they can refocus and feel better because they're able to help someone. So yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah, and how about for you, Bradley? How would you answer that question?
Well, occasionally I have gone into work and, you know, I've been really upset or something's going on at home, but as soon as I enter the unit, I'm surrounded by so much positivity. The service users are just so happy to see you, happy you're on shift. Your mood instantly changes. It really is the best form of therapy, because you go in, suddenly this cloud is on and you're just overwhelmed with happiness. Really enjoy it.
Yeah, well, that's a very, very uplifting answer there, and I hope that's something that will really resonate with people watching this at the moment. Just before we go, Nicole, just an opportunity, and for Paul as well, just explain, are there jobs in Hertfordshire at the moment within social care? Have you got any kind of numbers to back that up? Or?
Definitely. So the adult social care workforce is 31,000 people, and there's a 4,000 gap at the moment. So we have 4,000 vacancies. Linking with the career progression, within that workforce of 31,000 people, that's people at all levels, people who are managers, people who are trainers, individuals who are occupational therapists within social care. So the career progression's there, and that's only growing. So only a couple of years ago, the workforce was 27 or 28,000. So as there's different reasons for that. As individuals live longer, they need more care and support, and we are in an ageing population. More and more people living past 100, for example, but as well, more people have complex needs. As these things are recognised, we increase the care and support that's available. So as such, for those, that means that the workforce only grows. So yeah, there's probably a base of 4,000 vacancies within the Hertfordshire alone, in adult social care, and more within child social care as well. So I don't know if I don't have stats on that side.
Yeah. Paul, anything else you want from Hertfordshire County Council's perspective? Are you currently looking for people to go into social care? What do you think the next couple of years will look like?
Just to sort of sound out what Nicole said, we've got at the moment, as of today, we've got 128 full-time vacancies in our frontline care services. We've got about 20 social work vacancies, 6 occupational therapy vacancies, community care officers. And again, as Nicole said, it's not because we're not a great employer, it's because people are living longer and people with more complex needs, so we need more workers to care. So we're actually, in this day and age, when you hear about everybody losing their jobs, we're actually expanding. I mean, it's the area to get in. And the other little tip for you, if you do join social care and you get your training in England, you can take it anywhere in the world. So if you want to go to Australia, New Zealand, or anywhere like that, they would welcome you as well. Not that I'm tipping you to go abroad.
We want all the best people in Hertfordshire.
We need to keep you.
we want them staying here. Right then, this webinar has been running for just coming up to an hour now. So there's been so many great questions here. It's really kept it going. So I know from the poll that you've just filled out, those of you watching live, the feedback is phenomenally positive, that you found this really useful. So hopefully you will take away some of the information from this, and it will help you in your next steps going forwards, thinking about careers within social care. So can I firstly thank all of you who are watching live at the moment and have contributed to the conversation and to the questions. Any of you that are watching this back on YouTube now, the comment section will be open at the bottom of it, and you will be able to submit any questions to that, and then we can forward them on to Paul or Nicole or Bradley subsequently, and we'll respond through that comments there. Finally, let me just thank Bradley, Paul and Nicole for giving up their time today and for sharing their experiences and their insights with you. If you want to watch back on this webinar, there's a QR code now on the screen. If you take a picture of that with your phone, then that will automatically take you through to our page on HOP, which is behind me there, hopinto.co.uk. There's a whole host of information about careers specific to Hertfordshire available on that. We very much encourage you to use that as well. So thank you very much to our panelists and to our attendees for joining us. We'll be back with another webinar next week looking at careers in veterinary science. So I'm happy to see a few of you for that one as well. Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoons. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.